After the heartbreaking end to their Premiership adventure the season before, 1999-2000 was always going to be a difficult and challenging year for Charlton Athletic. There were some squad changes, some new faces down at the training ground, and a lot of hard work to be done if the aim of bouncing back to the Premiership could be achieved at the first opportunity. Last year's adventures had seen Charlton face Arsenal at Highbury, Manchester United at Old Trafford and Liverpool at Anfield. This year's opposition would be less glamorous but equally challenging. The first steps back on the road to the Premiership were taken on a sunny August afternoon at the Valley. Clive Mendonca had had a frustrating season last year with injury. He was looking to show people how much he'd been missed in the Premiership. It took him just 6 minutes on that opening afternoon to make his point. As Steve Brown nods on a Mark Kinsella corner, the Barnsley defence failed to clear it. Mendonca, hovering on the edge of the area, makes his point in forceful style. Suddenly the frustrations of last year seem a whole season away. It was a set-piece routine that had been worked on 100 times at the training ground, although nobody could have expected it to pay dividends as early in the season as this. Barely 20 minutes later, Graham Stewart's intelligent through ball allowed Mendonca to show the chaos that his quick-footedness and close control could cause in First Division defences. Bullock was enticed into an untimely challenge, and the resultant penalty was only going to be taken by one person. From 12 yards, there was never much doubt about where this was going to end up. But a lapse later on in the first half allowed Hignett to cross deep, with Darren Barnard lurking on the far side. A ferocious left-footed volley left Kylie no chance, and suddenly Barnsley were back in the game at 2-1. It took until nearly 20 minutes to go before Graham Stewart released Steve Brown down the right-hand side to put over a deep cross. Only Matty Appleby can explain why he felt the need to put his hand up, but the moment the referee pointed at the spot, only one man was stepping forward, and the crowd were only thinking about one person's hat-trick. (3-1), keeper sent the wrong way, Clive Mendonca hat-trick, and just about the perfect opening to the season for Addicks fans. Next up at the Valley were Norwich, who proved to be a tough nut to crack for the opening 70 minutes, until Mark Kinsella pushed a free kick sideways and a Steve Brown strike flew into the path of Graham Stewart. Stewart somehow found space for a cross from the left-hand side, a cross that was met by the slightly unlikely head of Richard Rufus. Whether the cheers were cheers of delight or surprise or a mixture of both is something only the Valley faithful could tell you. But having only previously troubled the scorers at Wembley and Anfield, Rufus had now decided to add the Valley to his list of venues. As the season progressed, the sight of Rufus popping up in the box to pick up vital goals was to become one of the most pleasant surprises at the Valley. Despite late pressure, Norwich couldn't force an equaliser. Resolute defending late on allowed the Addicks to hold on for the victory, giving them a 100% home record after 2 games of the season. 2 weeks later, the Addicks went on their travels for the first time, halfway across London to Craven Cottage. It was not to be the happiest afternoon of the season. As Paul Pescasolido hit the bar, Nelson followed up to nod in for Fulham's opener. But worse was to come as the half wore on. Uncharacteristic confusion in the Addicks' defence allowed Pescasolido to go through unopposed. And suddenly it was 2-0. When the Addicts did pull a goal back, it owed more to the Keystone Cops than anything they'd practiced at the training ground. Somehow nobody claimed the ball, and all of a sudden Melville had sent it past his own keeper. But 2-1 gave the Addicts hope, and further chances were created to give them a chance of getting back on level terms. Mendonca drifted away from his marker late on. But somehow couldn't beat the keeper with his left-footed strike from 7 yards. It was a moment that would probably sum up the Addicts' entire afternoon. As the game wore on, Fulham broke away more and more frequently. Inside the last 10 minutes, Charlton twice had reason to thank their £1 million signing Dean Kiely, who stopped the score being bigger than it was. Kiely had said he relished playing at a bigger club to give him a chance to show international selectors what he could do. While he was busy being given opportunities to shine, Addicts fans winced as they fell to the first defeat of the season, 2-1 away at Fulham. Next week it was back to the Valley, Bolton providing the opposition and giving Charlton a chance to get back to winning ways. Bolton started well with all the early pressure. When Mike Whitlow was given the opportunity to launch in a long throw from the far side, it looked like something that had been practiced at the training ground. Dean Holdsworth nodded on, and Michael Johansson on the far post needed no further invitation. All of a sudden, the Addicts would have to come from behind at home, which was to become a situation they were going to get only too used to. The equaliser followed a piece of John Robinson magic down the left-hand side. Leaving a bemused defender in his wake, the cross comes over and Graham Stewart appears at the far post. Having found their way back into the game, the Addicts now looked as if they could go ahead and take it. And it was minutes before half-time when Stewart next got involved in meaningful action. Having since become teammates, they may well have a laugh about it now, but at the time Todd and Stewart seemed to rub each other up the wrong way. No amount of explaining to the ref was going to let them off this one. And as the half drew to a close, Todd and Stewart were both given their marching orders. Both sides had half-time to plan their tactics for the 10-man version of the game, and the Addicts seemed to adapt better. Gisela found Powell, who in turn moved the ball forward to Pringle. When Pringle picked out Mendonca with a lovely reverse pass, there was only ever going to be one outcome. With the scores level, 1-on-1 with the keeper, Clive Mendonca is just about the only person on the pitch who'd want to take this chance. In a game which we already thought had seen everything, there was one last twist. Whitlow had upset the Valley faithful all afternoon, and when he followed through on Greg Shields, the second yellow card was inevitable. 22 players started the afternoon, 19 finished it. 2-1 to Charlton, and 3 wins from the first 4. We asked summer signing Dean Kiely what he thought of his first few games down at the Valley. Yeah. What were your impressions of the club, Dean, when you came here and started the season?
You know, it has a perception of being very friendly and obviously very professional, and obviously the biggest club I've ever been at. So yeah, I mean, it was great to get the shout to come, really.
And do you think it improved your international shout through being here?
I definitely think so, yeah. Even if I was playing the way I'm playing, the perception is you're playing at a smaller club, so it's maybe not, you know, that you can always pick faults and this, that and the other to say. about the standard or whatever. But no, I mean here everything's in place, and it's all good stuff. So no.
And what have you made of the season so far? What are your thoughts on it?
But very pleased. I think individually I've been happy with my contribution. Collectively, I think great squad of players, strength in depth, and everyone knows what's required of to gain promotion.
You seem to have developed more of an understanding with your back four as the season's gone on.
Yeah, I think it's just natural, really. You sort of come and you sort of know people, but it takes a couple of 3 or 4 weeks or whatever. But no, I mean, like I say, everyone seems to know what everyone else is doing, which is always a help. So yeah, it's all good.
Have you found it difficult going away to internationals and coming back? There's been a lot of games for you this year.
No, I mean, I like to think that the reason maybe travelling a lot and is because I'm being successful. I mean, talking to the Man United, the lads obviously involved, and they're away every week. They're going to Fiorentina or Tokyo, Hong Kong, wherever it is, and it's because they're successful, and successful people seem to have a busy schedule. So the busier, the better, really, for me. Then I know I'm doing something right, really.
And you seem to have enjoyed playing at the Valley in front of the crowds we've had this year.
Oh, I mean, it's been excellent, really. I mean, I'd like to think, even when I made my league debut, I mean, I have some sort of rapport with the fans and have a laugh and a joke at the right times. And no, I mean, the response they give me is fantastic, and obviously return that, at every opportunity, really.
Who else do you see as being up there at the end of the season?
I don't know. I mean, you look at the games and the fixtures week in, week out, and you couldn't confidently select, home wins, away wins, and who's going to beat each other. So it's very difficult to call, really. So we just got to go and pick up as many points as we can, whenever the opportunity arises, really.
Next up for Charlton came the challenge of the Worthington Cup and a home tie against Bournemouth, which certainly didn't go as the form book would have suggested. Richard Rufus again popped up in the area, this time his own area, heading against his own bar earlier on. And when Bournemouth rattled the woodwork with a free kick late on, the Addicks were left feeling glad that they'd got away with the 0-0 draw, leaving a difficult second leg down on the south coast. Next action in the league came at Bramwell Lane against Sheffield United. When Peter Cachuro was left unmarked on the near post after 2 minutes, the Addicks went one down, and the beginnings of what was to be an expensive series of goals straight after the restart were born. But Charlton held their shape, and a typical Mark Kinsella tackle left Andy Hunt in the clear. His rasping effort early on suggesting that this may just be Hunt's day, when John Robinson was able to find Sean Newton in space. It took just one glance before Newton's deft chip was met by Hunt at point-blank range. 1-1, and Hunt was off the mark for the season. As the Addicks continued to press in the second half, a Mark Kinsella drive fell neatly into the path of Hunt, who coolly took it past the defender before sliding it underneath the keeper. 2-1 to the Addicks, and Hunt's season really had taken off. As he gets played through, Hunt shows there's more than one Addicks striker who's deadly in one-on-one situations, much to the delight of the travelling fans. United continue to press forward and create chances though, on this occasion held back at the far post by Paul Konchesky, who earns the thanks of his captain for the challenge. While Charlton continued to look dangerous on the break, Sean Newton, once again the provider, pushing it sideways for John Robinson, who sees his left-footed effort palmed over the bar. With victory within touching distance, the Addicks had to survive one last onslaught. A dipping volley touched onto the bar by Kiley, as they held on for victory. So 4 wins from the opening 5, enough to put Charlton up into 7th place, The postponement of the games against Wolves and Crewe, leaving them with games in hand over Manchester City, who led, and Birmingham, 3 games in hand over Birmingham, who are only 3 points clear of the Addicts. But next up, a return to Worthington Cup action. A second leg tie went all the way to penalties before Dean Kiley pulled off a save from Robinson. Clive Mendonca next up. Reliable as ever from the spot. Leaving the Addicts 1-0 ahead after the first round of shots. Kiley couldn't stop Means' effort, however. And Steve Brown stepped up, needing to score to keep the Addicts in the lead. However, a fantastic save from Ovendale. Left Fletcher stepping forward for Bournemouth to slot the ball past Kiley, putting Bournemouth 2-1 ahead. When young Paul Konchesky stepped forward and brought out another fantastic save from Ovendale, it left Bournemouth within touching distance of going through. Steen made no mistake from the spot, and Mark Kinsella found himself walking forward, needing to score to keep the Addicts in it. Ovendale pulled off his 3rd save in a row, making him the hero of the evening and sending the Addicts crashing out of the Worthington Cup at the first opportunity. Back in league action, the Addicts found themselves travelling north to Merseyside, Tranmere. Newton's through ball put Mendonca through, whose progress was abruptly ended by Achterberg's challenge. With the penalty awarded, the only question was whether the keeper would walk for the challenge, although the yellow card proved to be sufficient penalty. You'd normally worry about a striker losing his nerve with a delay as long as this between the award of a penalty and its taking. But Mendonca just slotted it away the same as he ever does. The Addicts continued to press early on, as the ball worked its way clear to John Robinson on the edge of the area, his effort well saved down low by Achterberg. And Alan Kirbishley would have been furious at the scrappy way the goal was conceded. A set piece, ricocheting everywhere, until George Santos tucking it away from 3 feet. The Addicts went back in front through their captain, Mark Kinsella, with maybe not the cleanest strike he'll ever hit, and a goalkeeper who didn't dive, but Kinsella seemed to enjoy it all the same. Going into the last 5 minutes, it looked as if the Addicts would hold on for a valuable 2-1 away win, until they failed to clear a ball from defence and paid the costs. They'd had 85 minutes to learn of the aerial challenge from Wayne Allison, and it seemed like the lesson wasn't clear enough. A ball that wasn't cleared sufficiently out of defence. Tranmere worked it back down the left before swinging a crossover, and Allison found space between Youds and Rufus to nod home for the leveller. And it could easily have been a worse tale for the Addicts, right at the death. Yet again, a man not picked up from a set piece, and Sean Newton having to nod clear on the post. Next up at the Valley was Stockport. Quite what Carlo Nash was doing going for this ball, only he could tell you. But the moment Kinsella chips it back in, he was never going to beat Andy Hunt to the cross. Even on the replay, it's hard to tell whether the central defenders are looking for the ball or staring in disbelief at where Nash has gone. But either way, he's not back in time to stop it. Shortly after, Kinsella floated in a free kick, and the delicate figure of Eddie Yowds was bundled over in the box. Penalty awarded. Not much protest from Stockport. And a keeper about to dive the wrong way. 2-0. And if you're looking for a turning point in any player's season, pick Andy Hunt and probably pick this moment. The ball played through, neat passing, an incisive ball through to Shields, who pulls it back from Hunt, who sticks it through two pairs of legs from 18 yards out. (3-0) and not a single person in the ground cared how it got there. There was still more to come from Hunt though, when new signing John Salako found space on the left. A floating cross which the Stockport defence never came near to cutting out, and Hunt left unmarked 6 yards out for the hat-trick. 4-0, Andy Hunt hat-trick. And everyone left the Valley happy that evening. Having completed his first hat-trick wearing a Charlton shirt, we caught up with Andy and asked him what he remembered about the first couple of months of the season. And suddenly at Stockport it all just magically fell into place for you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think I just got what I deserved really. You know, I think like last year was a hard season, and it was just sort of seemed to be sort of slugging out games and trying to sort of stop other teams from playing. Whereas this year we can be a bit more adventurous, which is brilliant for whoever's playing up front.
You seem to be working very hard for the other players off the ball up till then, and all of a sudden that night, chances seem to drop to you directly.
Yeah, I don't know why that is, but you know, I hope it keeps happening. Really, it's nice to be able to sort of have a few chances as opposed to sort of, because no one wants to be known as a hard-working player. People, you know, as a striker, you want to be known as somebody who scores goals. So to get the chances sort of made a real change for me, and then it's just the onus is on me to really put it in the net.
And there seems to be a good atmosphere down here this year.
Yeah, everyone's really, you know, buzzing. I mean, it's just results, isn't it? I mean, once you start getting a few results, then you know, everyone's happier. They want to come in and train. They're more enthusiastic. When you sort of get beat every week, you get a bit down in the dumps about things. But yeah, I mean, the atmosphere is great. So.
And you're looking to carry on through after Christmas, picking up goals hopefully as often as you've been picking them up.
Yeah, well, I think if we keep sort of playing the way we're playing, then we're going to get the results. And obviously, you know, if I'm still in the team, then I'll be scoring goals hopefully. So you know, I think any side that finishes in the top sort of 5 or 6, the strikers are going to end up with a sort of hatful of goals. So as long as I stay in the team, then I should be all right.
We've got this centre half suddenly challenging for your place all of a sudden, who didn't score goals up to this year.
Yeah, I know. Rich has had a real sort of glut of goals, hasn't he, recently? It's brilliant, because it means if we have an off day, then we know we just send him up and he'll sort it out for us.
When league leaders Birmingham turned up at the Valley, it was a defender of a different description who came forward and sorted it out for them. An ugly bout of aerial ping-pong before the Addicks finally brought the ball down under control. And summer signing Greg Shields decided to make his way forward. A ball inside from Mendonca, one touch, under the keeper. And Greg was wondering what the strikers make all the fuss about. Birmingham came back at the Addicks in the second half and looked threatening, this effort from Paul Furlong flying off high into the Jimmy Seed stand. But yet again the Addicks showed what a dangerous side they've become attacking from deep. Hunt controlling the ball chipped forward by Kinsella, and Sean Newton picking out Clive Mendonca on the far edge of the box. and a diving challenge stopping him from making it 2-0 to the Addicts. As is now traditional, fans were left on the edge of their seats for the last few minutes. Kiley pulling off a diving save from this dipping, curling free kick, showing why Alan Kirbysley invested £1 million in him pre-season. But hold out they did, and the victory sent the Addicts to the top of the table. Where they remained when they visited Portsmouth a week later. Playing bright, intelligent passing football, John Robinson found Andy Hunt wide on the left. When Hunt's cross came back in, Andy Patterson couldn't hold it, and Robinson was given the chance to prove that he's deadly from 2 feet out. Having played junior football under Alan Ball, Robinson enjoyed the chance of proving a point back to him. Playing his first game back after nearly 2 months out with injury, Keith Jones was unlucky not to register on the score sheet with his scorching left foot effort. And late on, total confusion at the back, as Pringle found Kinsella. The ball is swept across, and nobody picks it up, leaving John Solarco with the less than challenging task of tapping in, and possibly even closer than Robinson on the far post. As the cross comes over, it beats 4 Portsmouth players, and as Solarco seals victory 2-0. 7 wins in the opening 9 games, enough to leave the Addicts on the top of the table at this stage, with games in hand over everyone in the chasing pack. With more points than Sunderland had at the same time last season, everything's looking promising for a swift return. Until the Addicts came up against the away trip to Portman Road and an in-form Ipswich side. As it's played inside to Scowcroft, a cruel deflection sends it just past Dean Kiley's outstretched hand and gives the home side a lead on 3 minutes. But in one of the most pulsating opening periods of the season, a curling corner from Kinsella finds Andy Hunt in the box to equalise minutes later. The ball nodded back in by Dialds, and Hunt rises above the pack. And it was to get better for the Addicts. A long clearance from Kiley, nodded in by Hunt. An Ipswich defence that fails to get rid of the ball safely. Before John Robinson plays Hunt through, controls it and then puts it through the keeper's legs. 2-1 to the Addicts, and everything was looking absolutely fine at this stage. Hunt controls the ball beautifully, takes it away from the defender, and enjoys a bit of overdue luck with the keeper. But it wasn't to last. Venus arriving late on a free kick, just in time to see it roll back into his path, tapping on the near post. 2-2, and suddenly all the impetus is with the home side. The Addicts came back into it. A fierce drive from Mark Kinsella, flying across everything, just eluding the far post. Before David Johnson pops up at the end of a corner to make it 3-2 for the home side. And to add insult to injury as the game moves towards its dying minutes, Stockwell finds himself in the clear to tuck it underneath Kiley. 4-2 in the Addicks' most serious turnover of the season so far. West Brom were next up at the Valley, giving the Addicks a chance to get the promotion train back on track. After just 10 seconds, it looked like Andy Hunt might have achieved that. Skipping through 3 challenges, it took the outstretched leg of the keeper and some desperate defending. But ultimately, West Brom survived that and everything else that the Addicks could throw at them that afternoon. As the rain slated down, it looked like the Addicks had broken the deadlock halfway through the first half. Clive Mendonca was played through, but adjudged offside. And as they desperately surged forward, searching for a breakthrough, it was definitely one of those afternoons where just nothing would go right. West Brom admitted afterwards that they'd come to the Valley looking for a point and they'd be perfectly happy with the point. Unfortunately for the Addicks, they left the Valley happy, having achieved just that. Having failed to find Mendonca along the ground, the Addicks switched to the aerial route. And came within inches of success. Another day it would have been just inside the post. But this was one Saturday afternoon when nothing was going to break the deadlock. Having notched 5 consecutive home wins, West Brom came to the Valley, defended resolutely and escaped with a point. Next up was the challenge of Tranmere, who came out and attacking at the Addicks in a way that totally belied their position at the bottom of the table. Early pressure from both sides, goalmouth scrambles, Hunt and Newton failing to put it home on this occasion. But it was a night when the Addicks found it very hard to play flowing football. Even when Graham Stewart was played in, he just couldn't get enough of his foot on the ball. And it looked like being a frustrating night until Alan Malm managed to slip the ball through to Gareth Roberts, who eluded Newton's challenge and tucked it outside Kiley's grasp. And a frustrating night suddenly threatened to be a lot worse. A minute later, Clint Hill slipped the ball through between sleeping central defenders, and Andy Parkinson tucked it past Kiley for 2-0 to the visitors. And for the first time all season, the Valley seemed to be in shock. Charlton had chances just before the break to pull something back, but Stewart's drive flew past the far post. And they were lucky not to fall further behind right at the close of the first half. The ball only half cleared out of defence, and Clint Hill's rasping drive was well pushed aside by Kiley. Andy Hunt had the chance to narrow the margin just before half-time, but his header was pushed clear by the keeper, and the Addicks went in at the break 2-0 down. What was said during that half-time period is something that's known only to Alan Kirbysley and his players, but the difference that it brought about at the start of the second half is nothing short of remarkable. Confusion in the Tranmere defence left Paul Konchesky forcing a corner. And as the ball was floated over, the keeper punched it clear, and half-time substitute Steve Brown headed home from 8 yards to the delight of the covered end. Late on, John Solarco came on, and his late cross to the far side allowed Richard Rufus to nod it back for John Robinson to throw everything at the ball. He seemed to quite enjoy it as well. And Salako wasn't finished. One last hanging cross. Richard Rufus up from the back. His second goal at the Valley. 3-2, and the comeback of the year was complete. We asked the man who scored the equaliser what his thoughts were on the season so far. Is it fair to say that the players have got around amongst themselves?
Yeah, it's always been a nice, tightly knit group of lads, to be honest, and that's what's got us through, and that's what's progressed the club. I mean, the fans they've had to put a certain amount of money in when getting back to the Valley when I first came here, so that brought a lot of, you thought, stability, and it meant a lot to the fans, meant a lot to the clubs, kind of thing. So the people that Curbs buys always has to integrate as a team on and off the pitch. Doesn't matter if the first 11 or whether it's the 22 squad. So, and there's a good atmosphere. So that helps us along the ways when we do have sticky patches. We can grind ourselves out and get results.
And Greg and Dean have come in.
Yeah, come in, done well. As I say, it helps. As I say, but it does help if you've got a good bunch of lads to go back to it to settle in, because it may take certain players longer to settle in if they go to other clubs. And you may not see the best of them until 2 months later, and it may be too late.
Sure.
But as I say, Greg's got off to a great start when he scored against Birmingham. Dino's been, as I say, he's got called up in the Ireland squad. He's made his international debut and done brilliant. So things like that is good.
Looking back, one of the games people are going to talk about is Tranmere as a turning point, coming back from 2-0 down at half-time.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that game?
Well, we didn't play very well in the first half. As I said, we need to start very lively. We need to start 100 miles an hour, high tempo kind of games, and we didn't. We were started lethargic. We thought we never go out there thinking we should roll over teams or anything, but we went out there thinking, we could get a result here. We should get a result. We'll go through it, and it didn't happen. And that's the way it is in the league. Anyone can beat anyone in our league. So we were a bit lethargic. We certainly got told so at half time. And we went out and we different formation. For myself, it was a different role, which I enjoyed playing in the Alp, given a free role. And yeah, we got back into it, as I say, and it shows a lot of character of the side again to coming back from 2-0 down at home. I don't think many teams would have probably done it, and we probably could have won 4-5 in the end.
Was it a formation you got used to in training at all, or was it just something you went to?
No, just something we went to on the day. We used different kind of things on in training and kind of say if that ever did happen, we could go there. So it wasn't totally new to us, but it was something that I enjoyed. I must admit.
And earlier on in the season, Portsmouth, where you got on the score sheet.
Yeah, that's right. I always seem to do quite well there. Whether it's they released us when I was a schoolboy, I had something to do. Alan Ball was the one who released me, and he was still the manager. So maybe it's something to prove, but not at this stage. I think it's proved a little bit to him. Just seemed to do quite well there. We started well again, and I thought we played probably one of our best away games. That was at Portsmouth. I think the chances we created, they never looked like scoring, and it's not an easy place to go to. So we done well, as I say, and I was obviously pleased to get on the score sheet.
Following this, the Addicks travelled to St Andrews to meet the challenge of Birmingham at home this time, and came under immediate pressure. Birmingham had been suffering an injury crisis when they played the Addicks at Charlton earlier on in the season, and with key players back, it was always going to be a different side that Charlton faced this afternoon. They still made chances. Mendonca glancing this one just past the post, and not getting the corner, much to his disgust, and then getting up for a header that flies just over the top. But again, it was a moment of indecision at a set piece which proved to be their undoing. Gary Rowett fires in the corner, and Brian Hughes gets in on the near post. (1-0) to the home side, and it was a lead they never looked like surrendering. Kiley was kept busy all afternoon with a string of saves. And clearances off the goal line all helped to keep the Addicks in with a shout. But a victory was never meant to be. Kiley was kept busy for the remainder of the afternoon. The Addicts couldn't build anything through midfield, and the Birmingham defence managed to keep them at sufficient range to stop serious efforts on goal being made. A disappointing afternoon, ending in a 1-0 defeat. Coupled with the defeat at Portman Road, the upset at St Andrews saw the Addicts lose their place at the summit. Although with 2 games in hand over Manchester City, who lead, and a game still in hand over Ipswich, the top spot remains within easy reach. Next up for the Addicts was a trip to Crewe. Martin Pringle came in for the injured Clive Mendonca and was given a chance to show his pace early on down the left-hand side, releasing the ball cleverly to Graham Stewart, who shot home from 10 yards. As Pringle releases the ball across to Stewart, it's a more difficult finish than it looks at first glance, but the ex-Everton man made no mistake. The Addicts continued to make chances throughout the opening period. Andy Hunt breaking down the left, beating the defender, crossing deep, and Pringle himself provided turn goal scorer heading back across the keeper to make it 2-0. It was Pringle's first goal since Derby last year, and just reward for someone who'd worked hard for his co-strikers throughout the intervening period. Next to visit the Valley was Walsall, whose attractive, committed football belied their lowly league position. The Addicts created chances from early on, John Robertson cutting inside to shoot narrowly over the top. But it was around the half-hour mark of the first half that a Gabby Booker free kick found its way through the defensive wall somehow and snuck inside Dean Carley's right-hand post. From that point onwards, the Addicts were chasing the game. Greg Shields crossing deep for Martin Pringle to nod narrowly over. Before the lanky target man set up the equaliser. Holding the ball up before playing it inside to Graham Stewart, whose shot came off the keeper's knees. Pringle wins the knockdown, and Andy Hunt's there again, knocking it back over his left shoulder into the net for the equaliser. Sending the Addicts in level at half-time. With 20 minutes to go, another member of the £1 Million Club, Graham Stewart, showed his worth, blazing home the winner from 20 yards. Greg Shields made the run that forced the weak clearance before it spun out to Stewart, who made no mistake. And the Addicts could have made it more comfortable late on. Stewart found Robinson through the channel on the left-hand side, who played a 1-2, but shot weakly at the keeper when he had the chance to finish. In the dying seconds, Dean Kiley pulled off a save that looks destined to stay in his scrapbook forever. Walsall pouring men forward in the desperate hopes of salvaging a point. A half clearance from Richard Rufus before a wickedly deflected shot. Kiley's already dived to his left to cover the initial shot and somehow manages to stick out a gloved right hand and pull the ball clear of the far post. Following this, we caught up with one of the Addicts players of the season so far, skipper Mark Kinsella. You must be really happy with the way the season's gone so far.
Yeah, we have done. It started well with a lot of home games, like we said before, and we needed to win them, and it kept us up there. And we've been picking points away from home as well, which is vital. And we got another tough one tomorrow night.
Are there any particular games that stick in your mind so far from the year?
The start of this season?
Yeah.
There's been a few. I mean, we've played reasonably well, not as good as what we can do. And Walsall probably sticks out because we probably nicked a win there when they've come down and done a great job on us. Away from home, we've done really well at Sheffield United and a bit disappointed at Birmingham away. But I think every game we've played in so far has been tough, and we don't expect no different.
You seem to enjoy the goal against Tranmere.
Yeah, I haven't. It's nice to just get off the old duck, the first goal of the season, but it hasn't followed with another one just yet, but hopefully it will do.
Is it a case that people are looking at promotion yet here, or is it just in the back of your minds and it's a game at a time?
No, we're looking at promotion, whatever way we go about it in the top two of the playoffs, but this club definitely needs to get promoted this season, and that's the job we're trying to get over, and whatever way we do it.
And how many sides do you see who are up there at the moment are likely to be there at the end of the season?
Fulham, Birmingham, Ipswich and Man City, and then the Wolves and Barnsley and Norwich have all hit good runs, so there's about 8 or 9 teams that are definitely in with a great chance of definitely making the playoffs.
Has it been difficult for you with the international commitments as well? You've played a lot of football this year so far.
Just been taken over really, to be fair. They've been resting me during the week and training when I've had the game, so I've been getting the rest in that side. But it's nice to get away from the day-to-day and meeting up and having an international levy once a month or whatever, so it breaks it up. It's been enjoyable.
And the atmosphere amongst the players, it seems to be really good this year.
Yeah, it has done. We've just carried it on from last year, to be fair. I mean, we didn't get relegated to the very last, like Blackburn and Forest were relegated 3 or 4 weeks beforehand. So the momentum's carried us on really this season, and it's shown in the results we've picked up compared to what they've done themselves. So the team spirit's always been good over the last couple of years. So we just try and keep it going, really.
And as the captain, you must be really pleased with the way that Dean and Greg and people like that have come in and fitted into the system.
Yeah, Dino's come in, and I don't think he's had a bad game, to be fair to him. He's probably kept us in most of them and got vital points for us. Greg's filled in after Danny going for 4-something million. Had a lot to live up to, and I think Greg's settled in very well. And it won't be long before he's scoring regularly with the amount of overlapping he does.
After the victory against Walsall, the Addicts were back on the road again at Grimsby. A familiar figure popping up in the area as Richard Rufus added further to his account. 1-0, Grimsby learning that leaving Richard Rufus unmarked in the 6-yard box can be a very expensive mistake. Grimsby worked their way back in though. This Greg Shields tackle on David Smith are judged to be illegal, as the referee pointed to the spot. And Lee Ashcroft sending Dean Kiley the wrong way for the equaliser for the Mariners. Kinsella floated a free kick in. Rufus wasn't picked up again. 2-1. Once again, the Grimsby defence not coming close to picking up Richard Rufus. And paying for it in the most expensive way possible. Rufus had got so used to being in the thick of the action that even when Grimsby broke down the right-hand side, as the cross came over, he insisted on having the last touch even at his own end. What should have been 3 safe away points suddenly seemed in jeopardy, until a more traditional Addict strike force took over. Clive Mendonca with a classic poacher's goal from 2 yards out against his old side gave the Addicts a 3-2 lead. And when Mendonca pulled back for Andy Hunt, 4-2 suddenly became an unassailable lead, as fans who'd travelled all the way up to Grimsby were given an excuse to celebrate alongside the goal scorer. As Mendonca pulls the ball back, Hunt shows the calmness of a man who's scoring goals regularly, tucking it away with no concern whatsoever. And as if to prove that own goals weren't limited to the visitors, Chris Powell fires the ball across and Groves manages to backheel it past his own keeper. It may be a wet night in Grimsby, but it's 5-2 to the Addicts. A goal for Clive Mendonca, a goal for Andy Hunt, 2 goals for Richard Rufus, and the travelling fans are happy. The scoreboard tells the whole story. Days later, Alan Curbishley again delved into the transfer market, picking up Andy Todd from Bolton for £750,000.
Well, Andy, welcome to Charlton. Why Charlton?
Obviously Charlton, very good club, family club, doing very well at the moment. I spoke to Alan, and it seems to be geared up, to go back to the Premiership. Hopefully we can do that.
And this isn't the first inquiry this season for you, is it, from Alan Curbishley?
I believe not, but I don't know too much about that.
Circumstances obviously changed at Bolton for you. Now you find yourself at Charlton, you would realistically see yourself back in the Premiership next year?
Hopefully, yeah. If we, if the lads keep on doing what they're doing, working hard, and I don't think they'll be too far away.
In your brief experience of Charlton here this season, hasn't put you off coming down here?
No, it's just one of them things between me and Graham Stewart. I'm sure we'll be okay together. But on the day, Charlton with a better team, and they deserve the win.
So will he be the first player you seek out in training?
No, I'll keep away from him.
Having not been the subject of the normal transfer rumours, the signing of Todd came as a complete surprise to Addicts fans. Alan Kirbishley explained why he made the move for Todd and what he expected him to add to the squad.
£1 million. Why Andy Todd?
Well, I think that Andy is the right age for us at the moment, and 25 and quite a lot of experience, played in the Premiership, and he's also a player that can play in various positions. And you know, we've been stretched recently. I've got injuries and suspensions and all sorts of things coming up, and I just felt I needed to strengthen. And Andy was the ideal player to come into our club at the moment.
We'll put off by his brief appearance early in the season here.
No, I think that these things happen. He's an aggressive player. It's something that I've been looking at. You know, I want a little bit more aggression in the side, and also, as I said earlier, I just need. There's a certain amount of players in my side that can play in various positions, and when Andy became available, I felt he was the perfect addition to our squad.
You're going well at the moment. It always says you strengthen when you're going well. Is this part of the reason?
Well, you know, I've took quite a bit of money in over the summer and streamlined the squad and slowly brought players in. Dean Kiley coming first, and then Greg Shields, and now Andy Todd. And hopefully it's not going to stop there. I've still got money to spend, and I'll hopefully spend it as wisely as I can. But you know, things change, but the position we find ourselves in at the moment, you know, second from top and everything else, it's just the right time to do anything when confidence is high.
Suspensions, is he going to slot straight into the side for the next game?
Well, you know, I'll have to wait and see about that. You know, it's been a bit of a hectic couple of days for him, you know, his problems up at Bolton and etc. But, you know, the boys have done well. You know, we've won 11 games and drawn 2 and lost 3. We've had a great start, and, you know, I'll have to wait and see if he starts on Saturday or not.
Saturday brought about the visit of Manchester City to the Valley. League leaders, having been promoted the year before in a style only too familiar to Addicks fans, via penalties after a playoff game. Cheltenham applied early pressure, Hunt shooting wide, and arguably played some of their best football of the season in the opening 45 minutes. John Robinson broke through earlier on, but couldn't find his way past Nicky Weaver. While City looked a constant threat on the counter-attack and pulled several saves out of Dean Kiley. When Kiley talked about the need to move to a bigger side in order to get noticed by international managers, this was exactly the sort of fixture he'd have been thinking about. As Hurlock's corner came in, the Addicks failed to clear it properly. He was given another bite of the cherry, and the Addicks were to pay the price for it. Gota stole in ahead of Rufus. The header went straight past Kiley, and the league leaders had the lead. The Addicks tried everything they knew to fight their way back into the game. This thunderous effort from Kinsella smashed against the bar, and the central defender's attention stopped Pringle putting away the rebound. The replay shows that Weaver got a hand on the ball, and it was almost certainly that touch that kept it out of the top corner. Late on, efforts came in from unexpected places. Nobody can remember the last time Chris Powell found himself in the 6-yard box, and his effort flew cruelly just over the bar. The Addicks continued to try and construct attacks in a desperate bid to break down the City defence. Andy Hunt failing to win the ball ahead of Weaver and the referee's sympathy. And as the minutes ticked down, Weaver pulled off a succession of saves from close range. Ultimately, however, it was all to prove fruitless for the Addicks. City's smash and grab raid was successful, and they returned back to Manchester top of the league and with 3 away points. The defeat left the Addicks in 3rd place in the division, 4 points behind City with a game in hand over them, but only 2 points behind Huddersfield with 2 games in hand for the all-important 2nd automatic promotion spot. We spoke to Addicks boss Alan Kirbishley. The ones you've been particularly pleased with for whatever reason?
Well, I just think, you know, some games have had different meanings. You know, there's some of the games at home in the Valley where we're playing perhaps against lowly opposition, which has given us a problem because of the expectation level and everything else. And you know, I just feel that the way they've acquitted themselves, it's a bit difficult to pick certain games out, but certainly, you know, I think the comeback against Tranmere stands out. I think also the 5-2 at Grimsby. But, you know, I think it's just the way that they've attacked the situation. It was quite easy to have a bit of a come down, if you like, regarding getting relegated and that. And I just felt that we've needed a good start. We've had a good start now. And it's just a question of can we hang in there. Because really, mainly, most years, it boils down to the last 5 or 6 games. And if you're successful then.
How aware were you at the start of the season that teams were probably going to come to the Valley and be happy to take away a point?
Well, I think that if you look at any team that's at the top of their respective tables, it happens to them. It's not just us at the Valley. I mean, it happens everywhere. And you know, you wouldn't expect teams if you're top of the league and getting a bit of a reputation. I don't think you'd expect too many teams to come there and open up and play out-and-out attacking football. I think that when we played Man City, I think their tactics was just the same as if we played Walsall or Norwich. You know, it's something we've got to contend with, and I'm sure that when we go to Main Road, we'll be a little bit more cautious than normal. So, you know, I just feel that it's a sign of that you're doing okay if teams do come to your place and shut up shop.
You must be very pleased with people like Andy Hunt who've come out and started to score goals this season.
Yeah, I think that, you know, obviously quite a few of the players and myself, we had it a little bit tough last year in the Premiership, and, you know, in all fairness, I was expecting that this year, if, you know, all being well, then 1 or 2 of the people that perhaps didn't do so well in the Premiership were certainly going to do better in the First Division, and, you know, that's how it's showing at the moment, but obviously we've got a long way to go.
And you must be very happy with the way the new signings have fitted in so far.
Yeah, I think, you know, Dean came in and Greg's come in, and now we've brought in Andy Todd, and John Solarco seems to have been with us all season, but obviously I think that, you know, the making of a good side and a good squad is the people you've got in it, and the 4 people I've just mentioned there are all good lads, and they're all desperate to do well, and you know, aided and abetted by the rest of them. If there wasn't good lads, and that wouldn't be here.
And you seem to have a very good atmosphere down there amongst the squad. Everyone's got a common aim, and
training ground is super, always has been, and you know, I'll have 1 or 2 problems this year with certain individuals simply because they're so desperate to play, they want to be in the side. And you know, while the squad gets stronger, you know, there's some players that can't even get on the bench, and you know, that's very disappointing for them, and something that they've got to try and handle, and obviously something I've got to deal with. But you know, we need a strong squad. I want to try and make it stronger if I can, and certainly if I can do that, then we should give ourselves a fair chance of being successful.
And the aim presumably is to be in roughly the same position with 12 games to go.
Well, the aim is to go up, obviously. We'd like to think we can go up in the top 2. If not, then we'll have to do it the other route. But I think our ultimate game is that we go up this year.